So hi to the teacher that will be grading this video, whoever you may be. If you don't remember my name is Samuel. So I'll be presenting to you this safety briefing on avalanche and avalanche safety equipment. So I'll start by talking about what to do if your friend or someone in your group gets stuck in an avalanche. So if somebody gets stuck in an avalanche, the first thing you want to do is scream avalanche to let everybody else know that somebody has started an avalanche and that they might be in danger, even if they haven't heard or seen it. This way people will know that an avalanche has been started. So the second thing to do is to make sure that you don't get stuck in it. So if you're below your friend that just started an avalanche and it's coming straight towards you, you want to get out of there and out of the avalanche path to stay safe. If you're not in the avalanche itself, you want to make sure that you won't get stuck in it. So don't throw yourself in the avalanche. So make sure you're in a safe zone. And then you want to track where your friend goes down. So you want to determine the last seen point of your friend as they go down the avalanche. It will help during the rescue and the search of your friend later on. And so that's the steps you have to take when your friend gets stuck in an avalanche. If you get stuck yourself in the avalanche, you're in some trouble. The first thing you want to do is once again scream avalanche. So you want to make sure that the others in your group know that you're stuck in an avalanche and that they might be in danger. So you want to scream avalanche as loud as you can. And then once you're in the avalanche, you want to stay on top of the avalanche as best as possible. So that means removing your skis, removing your poles, trying to swim if you can to stay on top, jumping to stay on top, pretty much doing whatever it takes to stay on top of the avalanche. If you don't lose balance when you start the avalanche, you can also try to ski out of it, so at a 45-degree angle to get out of the avalanche. If that's not possible, you just want to stay on top. If that's not possible again, and you're getting buried by the avalanche, you want to create a big air bubble around you and get in a safety position. So you want to protect yourself and create a big air bubble. And as the snow stops, you want to try and figure out which way is up and put one of your limbs up. That way, perhaps your hand will stick out and it might help your friends find you in the case that you get buried. And if you are buried, just stay calm and yeah, pretty much stay calm, and your friends will come and get you, hopefully. If they listen nicely to this video, they should come and help you. And so just stay calm, it will save oxygen, and so you'll be able to stay down there a bit longer. So that's pretty much the steps you have to take if you're caught yourself in an avalanche or if your friend is caught in an avalanche. So that being said, we'll step into the safety equipment that we'll bring with us. So the first piece of equipment that we'll carry is a transceiver. So the transceiver looks like this. You'll most likely have a harness like this to carry it. So your transceiver, to wear it, there's two loops. So the first loop, you put it over your head and under your arm, and then the second loop you just pass around your waist like this, and then you would clip it on you. And this transceiver, you leave it on, you put it on just on top of your base layer. And the reason is the layers on top of you will protect it in case you hit it on things. And when we go up, we'll probably take all of those layers off anyway, so we'll still keep that transceiver on us. You don't want to take it off during the day, so you'll just keep it on top of your base layer. And you want to wear it 20 centimeters away from any electronic device. So be it your phone, your smartwatch, your Google Home that you carry in your backpack. You want to keep it away from any electronic device. So usually your chest is a good zone to put it. Just make sure you don't put your cell phone in one of your chest pocket. So put your phone in your backpack away from your transceiver, as it might interfere with the signal that your transceiver sends. So looking at the transceiver, we have two modes on it. We have send mode and we have search mode. So sand mode is the mode that will be in most of the day. So when we're in the parking lot, everybody will go on sand mode. And the sand mode means that everybody emits signal into the air. So we'll be in sand mode to send signal into the atmosphere. And if ever somebody's stuck in an avalanche, we'll switch into search mode. And a search mode, and pretty much we stop emitting signal and we'll start to receive the signals of the other transceivers. So pretty much we'll only get the signal from the transceiver that are buried in the snow, so from the people that can't switch to search mode. So we'll know how many and where the people are stuck in the avalanche. The third mode is off, so when you're not using it, you put your transceiver into off, but during the day, your transceiver will always be into sand mode, except if there's an avalanche happening. So that's pretty much it for the next piece of equipment that you'll carry in your backpack at all times is a probe. So the transceiver, you wear it on you, but the probe and the shovel that I'm showing you right now, you'll put them in your backpack, not outside, but in your backpack. So the probe, the way you use it is you have the probe itself. So this is the way it will be in your backpack. So it's folded away. And if you look at all the pieces of the probe, you see you have a piece that has a nice color. So this one is green, some are red, some are orange, some are yellow. So you have a nice piece of color of the probe, and all the other pieces are black. So you'll just throw the pieces in the air, and you'll make sure to pull on the cord until you hear the probe click. And when the probe has clicked, it means that it's locked and it's ready to use. So how to use the probe is you'll hold it in two hands and you'll probe between your legs. So you'll probe in the snow. If your first hit is not on the person, you'll make your second hit 25 centimeters away from where you first send your probe in the snow. So that's pretty much a length of your boot if you don't remember what 25 centimeters is. So you'll send it in the snow. If that's still not the person, you'll keep going in a spiral shape, and as soon as you hit the person, you'll want to leave the probe in the snow to have a visual support of where to dig to find the person. And you can also use the number on your probe to help you. So in this case, the person would be buried 50 centimeters down into the snow. So that should match the reading you had pretty much on your transceiver. So if your transceiver said that the person was down 2,000 meters and the probe says it's down 50 meters, something is wrong. But otherwise, that's how you use the probe. So as soon as you touch the person, you leave the probe there and you stop touching it. And then you'll move on to using your shovel. So the third piece of equipment you have is a shovel. So once again, the shovel will be in your backpack. And the shovel is in two pieces. You have the shovel blade and the shovel shaft. So you'll just put the shaft into the shovel blade as such, and then you just lock it in. And most shovels are also extendable, so you can make them longer to be more efficient when you shovel. So if let's say this is my victim and the person is under the snow, you'll want to start digging right at the probe if the person is buried in a slope. So since the probe is perpendicular to the slope, it's pretty much going to make a nice trench all the way to the person. If for some reason the person is buried on the flat ground, you want to start digging away from the probe to once again have that nice trench going to the person. So the person in front will shovel the snow in blocks and will send the snow behind to the other person behind them. The other person behind the first person will be a shovel length away from the person in front, and that person will just shovel the snow backwards to the next person backwards, and the third person does the same thing. So we're kind of in line in a conveyor, and that will make a nice trench going all the way down to the person under the snow. And it will also make it quite easy once the airway are opened up to carry the person away and aid them If you start digging on top of the probe, you'll just have a nice steep tunnel, and then it's extremely hard to pull the person out. So you just want a nice trench going down there. And so shoveling is the hardest part, so you want to keep a lot of energy for the shoveling part. And yeah, so and you'll want to rotate around. So since shoveling is hard, the person in front is the one working the hardest. So once the person in front starts to get tired, you just want to rotate around. And that's pretty much it for the third and last piece of equipment, the shovel. So welcome back to the person listening to this video. So we're now ready to do our companion rescue, but just before we start running down the slope to save the person, we'll have to keep in mind a few concepts and things to remember before starting our rescue for reals. So the first thing to keep in mind is to elect a leader. So in most cases, this will be your guide during your outing at Vertigo, so most likely it's your guide. But in the case that your guide is the one under the snow, you'll have to find another leader to give tasks and to make sure that things work properly. Once you have a leader, you want to make sure that the scene is safe. So if an avalanche just started and someone is under the snow, it's a pretty clear sign that it's quite likely to trigger avalanches. So you'll want to make sure that it's safe to go down and rescue your friend. If there's a bunch of other alpine slope or a bunch of cornices waiting to trigger on you, you might want to reconsider running down the slope to save your friend. So once you know that the scene is safe, you want to know how many people are under the snow. So if you're skiing with you and your friend, it's pretty simple. There's you and your friend under the snow. If you're a group of 16 students, it's a bit more complex, especially if you don't make sure to know how many people are under the snow before rushing in. And then it gets quite messy and you won't know. So before starting the rescue, you want to know how many people are buried. When you know this, you can then think about going down the slope. Only thing that remains is to select or figure out where's the last seen point that you saw your friend, and to delimit the search zone. So if the person is stuck in the avalanche, it's the avalanche path that limits your search zone. The last seen point will also limit where you search. So let's say you're skiing Hawks Back in the Grand Couloir, and your friend starts an avalanche right at the top, and he goes down and you see him going down the Grand Couloir, and you can see him on top of the snow until the middle of the slope. You'll want to start your search at the middle of the slope. You saw him on the first half of the slope, not buried, so there's no point searching there. So you can start your search at the middle of the slope. So once you know the last seen point, that it's safe, and you have a leader, you'll be able to head down the slope and start your rescue. So the first thing you do to start your rescue is all your group members will put their transceiver on search mode. So as you saw in the first part of the video, you now know how to put your transceiver on search. So once your transceiver is on search, you'll see two things. You'll see a number indicating how far away you are from the victim, and an arrow pointing where you should walk to get close to the person. So the first part of your search would be the signal search. So that's when you don't have a signal on your transceiver. It means that you're too far away from the victim. So you'll want to try and get closer to the victim to have a signal. If the search zone is really huge, that means making zigzags in the slope, and that covers that covers all the slope, keeping in mind that the space between your traverse should be about 40 meters, as it is about the range of your transceiver. So once you have a signal, you go on into the broad search. So that's the part that we'll be doing right now. So the cameraman can follow me. So once you have your signal, you're doing your broad search, and that just means following your transceiver as close as possible to your victim. Once you get under the 3-meter mark, you're going into your fine search mode. So you'll have to get low to the ground with your transceiver, and you pretty much just want to get the smallest number possible. So you'll try and get the smallest number possible with your transceiver. So in this case, my smallest number is right here. And then once you have your smallest number, you'll want to get your probe out to probe this zone. So as you saw earlier in the video how to probe, and once you touch the victim, you'll leave the probe there. You'll get your shovel out. You'll just shovel the victim out of the snow. And once the airway are open, then you go into the patient care. So you'll have to try and save the victim as much as possible. So if he has a broken arm, broken leg, you have to try and get those fixed. And then you're just evacuating the victim back to a hospital to get them some help. And so that's pretty much it for the companion rescue. Just a few things to keep in mind before you head outside into the world of avalanches is to keep in mind to put your transceiver on send mode. So when you're in the parking lot, to make sure you put it on send. To also make sure to check the transceiver of your group. So doing a transceiver check in the morning to make sure that everyone is on send mode. And the last thing to remember is to bring other safety equipment like nano traîneau or first aid kit. And the last thing, now that you know how to use this gear, is to make sure that you never have to use it. So in an ideal sense, you'll never have to use this gear. As keep in mind that 20% of people that are stuck in an avalanche die because of trauma, not because they are buried. So in 20% of the cases, the person would die because they hit a tree, not because they're buried. So in those cases, your rescue gear is only useful to recover a body and not your alive friend. So that's a thing to keep in mind. So the best way to save yourself in avalanches is a prevention. So you just don't want to get stuck in it in the first place. So thanks, and have a nice day skiing.